Welcome to the Astro Prime, Freefly Systems' newest edition of the Astro drone, sporting a full-frame Sony LR1 camera with multiple lens options that would even put most DJI drones to shame. In fact, I would compare this drone against the Inspire 3, and it's the American drone that soars above the rest. If you did watch our top 5 drones, then you know that we have an obsession, a fascination with this drone, because it's the only true American platform. It's the only true American drone that rises above the rest simply because of the large camera sensor that it has, sporting the capability to shoot cinematic video at 4K 60 frames per second at 10-bit. In addition, its capacity to capture amazing 2D maps and 3D models with the built-in software that you don't have to pay for every single year. In fact, most public works, and let's call them engineers, architects, utilities, and so much more, have a need to create 2D maps and 3D models, but they technically need to compare that data against their legacy data. Why is this mapping platform so powerful? Well, it's also its partnership with Esri and SiteScan. This drone has the ability to take 2D and 3D data and compare it directly against legacy data, utilizing the SiteScan platform and sharing direct to ArcGIS. This is a portable platform that most wouldn't believe fits in the size of almost a phantom case. Albeit, you do have to have a separate case for the batteries. This is the only true American drone with a true American supply chain. Even the batteries are made in Washington State. And this drone simply is going to fascinate you. If you're like me and you grew up flying DJI, or maybe you were even sponsored by DJI for a significant period of time, then you're used to the controls, the natural symbiosis of flying any DJI drone. Well, if you want that same exact experience, then you're gonna get it out of the Freefly Astro Prime. I would call the Astro Prime the ultimate American drone. Now, this particular Astro Prime is the NDAA approved version, which simply means you get these nice, fancy, large antennas to make you look super professional and gain respect from everyone who knows nothing about drones. But I'm actually talking about the Doodle Labs radio that's on the back of this remote, connected to their Pilot Pro remote. And honestly, this is kind of a remote that I'm sure few of you have actually seen before, because not many people really talk about Freefly. So whether you like to break your neck and look down at the ground like a Mavic 3 Enterprise, or be a little bit more comfortable with the viewing position here, you have the flexibility to do what you want with the remote. You can even harness your inner Tom Cruise and open up that red toggle to fire missiles. Just kidding, that will shut the drone down and cause it to crash to the ground. Okay, moving on, the Pilot Pro remote actually offers a significant amount of flexibility and allows you to install third-party apps to control the drone and do other things as well. The Pilot Pro remote is actually one of my favorite remotes for training, simply because we have our position flight mode or a GPS flight mode like what you're used to with most DJI drones. In addition, you have an attitude mode. Here it's called altitude hold mode, and it's the same thing that you're used to with attitude mode, that ever important mode to capture astronomically smooth video, fly on really windy days, avoid emergencies like battery losses or, well, GPS failures as a whole. Simply put, you're not a professional pilot unless you really know how to fly in a GPS denied flight control mode. Because if you have a flyaway or if you have a GPS interference, how else are you going to be able to take over the control of the drone and bring it home? On top of that, if you're truly a professional pilot, you can also fly this drone like an FPV drone in full manual mode. So if you love to fly on the lake, you love to chase boats, you love to chase F1 cars, you love to chase all the coolest stuff, and you need a badass drone with the power to have a full frame camera that can fly like a bat out of hell, then you have the right drone. And actually, the fact that it fits in a pretty small case is fantastic. Now, this drone does operate off of dual 6S batteries similar to the Inspire 3. Now, the Inspire 3, when you get the case, the equivalent of the same kit that you would get here. So 3 sets of batteries, a case, your camera, your lens, all of that. The Inspire 3 runs about $22,311 for all of those things directly pulled from the DJI website. Now, if you're to get the Astro Prime, It starts for the same amount of stuff, 3 sets of batteries, but you get 2 cases, a battery case for when you're traveling on airplanes, and you get a case for the drone itself. It's gonna run you about $32,000. Now, before you freak out on those numbers, there's a couple of things that you should understand. Number one, the Inspire 3 is a great cinematography drone and is honestly a standard on most sets for Netflix, HBO, Amazon Prime, and many more. The thing is that you have much more flexibility with lens choices, selection, and you can even add aftermarket LUTs and aftermarket picture profiles in this camera because it is a true LR1 camera, similar to the FX3 that many people fly on much larger drones. And yet you have a very compact and portable gimbal made by Freefly. See, this might be an interesting comparison of the Inspire 3 versus the Astro Prime, but the Inspire 3 can't do mapping, while this drone can offer incredible detailed maps. So whether you need to do inspections and offer a 50mm lens on this camera to capture incredibly detailed shots, like looking at the serial number of a power pole, this drone can do it. If you want to create highly detailed 2D maps and 3D models, this drone can do it. And you're not just limited to one app like the DJI Pilot 2 app. You can use Auterian's app, or you can use the Esri Flight app as well, which offers you a lot of flexibility. Now, this drone is a true powerhouse. Yes, it's portable. Yes, it's compact. And yes, it is a truly amazing aircraft. It doesn't just offer regular GPS, but offers RTK made here in the USA. The truly surprising part about this drone is that when you actually take the prop guards off, you'll notice that this drone actually has about 21-inch blades, giving it about 42 inches of lifting surface from one point to the other. This is a truly incredible aircraft with truly incredible capability. I mean, you can't fly an Inspire 3 in manual mode. Yeah, you have attitude mode, but you're not gonna be able to really do as much as you can with this drone. Now, this drone is not for people who rely on flight autonomy to ensure a truly safe flight. In fact, one of our power utility clients recently had to move from DJI to Skydio drones, and they found that the amount of crashes increased 300% because people were relying more on the autonomy from Skydio, and it can't see thin branches, it can't see thin power lines. There's a lot of very simple restrictions and limitations on those obstacle avoidance sensors simply because of the rules of photogrammetry. It's just like Tesla's cars and its inability to map things when there's sirens and flashing lights from police cars. It's simple reflectivity. Now, if you're a truly professional pilot and you understand why you cannot rely on autonomy, then you're gonna love this drone because it actually does not have any obstacle avoidance whatsoever. Now, many of you, when we talk about a true drone platform, think about the ability to use this hot swapping feature to change out the individual cameras. And people like Inspired Flight have multiple payloads. People like DJI for the M300 or M350 have multiple payloads. And Freefly Systems is no different. Whether you need a multispectral camera, LiDAR, an OGI gas imager, a thermal camera, or a laser rangefinder, you can add all of those different payloads to this particular platform. And what's even more beautiful about this particular platform is this LR1 camera actually has mount points on the body of the camera. So if you want to use a laser rangefinder to truly understand the best distances for focal length or focus points, or maybe you want to learn just how far away you are from a power line, you can actually add the laser rangefinder right on to the camera body itself, which is something that no one else has ever done, including DJI. This drone is no joke, and it's a true competitor, feature set, feeling, and convenience of DJI. Since we're being forced to not be able to import any more Mavic 3 Enterprises, this is my personal American drone of choice. And in the past, Drone U has actually never sold drones before, but now you can actually buy this drone here at Drone U, get the training, and get all the videos to make it easy and convenient to get up, ready, and going for flying. In all honesty, this drone is also amazing because Let's say that you were to use a Mavic 3 Enterprise for mapping, and let's say that you were to map about 11 acres. We did this comparison in the Skydio review video, and you found that the Skydio did it in about 22 minutes. The Mavic 3 Enterprise, I wanna say, was in the 7 to 10 minute range, but this drone did it in 3.5 minutes. This is a force multiplier for mapping efficiency. If you're mapping large areas and you need it done right, you need it done with precision, and you need it done with accuracy, then look no further to the Freefly Systems Astro Prime. It also has a built-in RTK antenna, and Freefly, unlike any other drone manufacturer, offers a built-in VRS, which means you can connect to their system, their proprietary system, for RTK corrections. Now, you can buy an RTK antenna from DJI, but there's no VRS to connect it to. You always have to pay for some other service. So this is just one additional way that Freefly is developing an ecosystem for a true drone platform. Now you're probably thinking, yeah, Paul, but it's still 10 grand more than an Inspire 3. And it is. The difference is what you can capture quality-wise sells the drone by itself. You can charge more for your drone jobs. In addition, this is a true platform. This is not gonna be like buying a DJI drone where a new one comes out every year and now you're dropping 3 or 4 more grand. So over the course of 3 or 4 years, you're gonna end up spending this amount of money anyway. This is a true platform that's gonna allow you to use the same drone for 5 years in a row. It's gonna allow you to also develop a true platform for mapping, modeling, cinematography, and insanely pretty pictures. This isn't just a drone for beginners. This is a drone for professionals. And as Freefly Systems has been in the movie world for longer than DJI has, they absolutely are showcasing their ability to build a drone better than DJI and even better than Sony as well, as Sony's AirPeak drone utilizes the Gremsy system of gimbals. And here, they developed their own gimbal. So flight time is significant. And honestly, I gotta be real, I haven't had this much fun flying a drone since like the Avata 2 came out and having to get into Cinewhoop and whatnot. This drone flies like a bat out of hell, and it is truly phenomenal. As we summarize this succinct review on the Astro Prime, it's important to know the pros and cons. The pros: this drone is truly American made and is immune from Chinese supply shocks. I'm sure many of you heard about Skydio's inability to buy batteries because of the Chinese retaliation against Skydio for their lobbying against DJI. But they say it's because they're selling drones in Taiwan. Sure. Okay, let's be honest. We all know that there's a tit for tat lawfare going on between DJI, Skydio, Brink, and a few others that have been lobbying against Chinese drones. The only true losers in this battle and the only true people facing these headwinds are drone pilots themselves, which is why, again, I recommend the Freefly Astro drone. They don't compete on regulation, they compete on feature set. They compete on what a true capitalistic society should be competing on, of building superior products. And here it is, the superior product. And because everything is manufactured in Washington state, even their batteries, it is immune from a supply shock from China. As we start to navigate the transition from Chinese to American-made drones or domestically approved drones, this is going to be your drone of choice until other drone manufacturers mature alongside Freefly Systems. And again, I think Freefly Systems is far and ahead above the competition from the way that they have coded this drone. Simple things like gimbal follows pan. So essentially when you yaw the aircraft, the gimbal moves before the aircraft does to ensure that you have a super smooth yaw motion with whatever you're filming. But it's also the way that the drone flies, right? If you're used to flying a DJI drone and you pitch that drone forward, it simply moves the aircraft, pitches forward, and does everything that you expect it to do. When you're flying other American-made drones, you get this weird kind of like almost wave-like motion for it to fly forward. Well, the Freefly Astro doesn't suffer from those inconsequential issues because this drone was designed with software engineers in mind, understanding the true experience that a pilot will face. You know, we always talk about teaching from experience at Drone U. Well, they're building drones from experience of being on movie sets, knowing what they're doing, knowing what it takes to truly get amazing shots. Yes, the LR1 full frame Exmor sensor from Sony allows us to use E-mount lenses. So here we have the 24mm Sigma lens. We can get a 35mm lens, we can get a 50mm lens. There are, I think, 4 or 5 different lenses that actually are useful on this drone. And you know what's even better is if you've ever bought a big drone, you know that you have to balance the gimbal, that it takes a little bit more time to get it set up. And people who are flying DJI, they simply aren't used to that and they don't want to get used to that. Well, Freefly Systems has really simplified the whole thing. And what they did is they actually added these little bolts on the bottom of the gimbal itself, because the camera is actually on a rail that you can move forward and back to adjust for whatever lens that you put on the gimbal. What's even better is that Freefly has made it easy and convenient to change lenses. Similar to DJI, the gimbal is gonna balance and auto-tune itself, which is phenomenal, awesome, and is gonna get you up in the air faster when you're on set. This is a true platform: mapping, modeling, LiDAR, OGI for methane gas inspections. This is the American drone that you are gonna be learning about, that you are gonna be getting to know, and in a few short months of time, you're gonna be wanting to have one. Because in this wake of turbulence in the drone industry, the further that you get out ahead of the Chinese lawfare that's going on, the more successful that your business is going to be. So whether you need to save or whether you need to amortize to buy this particular drone, you're gonna wanna do it sooner rather than later, because you can market the ability to offer jobs for critical infrastructure, offer jobs for communications and power infrastructure, to offer jobs that are flown with American-made drones that offer a level of security that you simply can't find elsewhere. And in all honesty, because this camera is so much larger than all of the other domestically approved drones, you don't have to take as many photos to do simple inspections. Like a cell tower inspection using DroneLink that you capture 800 to 1200 photos on a 150-foot cell tower is now gonna be 300 photos because the photos are so astronomically large. If you're used to, let's say, 5,000 by 3,000 pixels for each photo out of a Mavic 3 Enterprise, you're looking at 9,500 by 6,400 for this particular camera. I agree, they should buy it. That said, what we're talking about here is a true platform with precision mapping capability. So whether you want to go from a Netflix set of shooting that super cinematic anamorphic look all the way back to mapping an entire ranch of 1,000 acres, this drone is going to allow you to do these jobs at scale. It's a true force multiplier. But let's talk about the cons, because no drone is perfect or no aircraft is perfect, as Boeing has taught us. That's right, we're talking about cons here, and one of the cons on this drone is that there is no obstacle avoidance. Now, for someone like me, I preferred things like the Phantom 4 Advanced over the Phantom 4 Pro version 2 because it had less obstacle sensors. You know, it's not like driving in a brand new Lexus that's screaming at you with all the possible obstacles that are in your way. It just allows you to be the pilot and fly, which is so important if you understand the manned aviation ideology and how that applies to unmanned aviation. Look, this drone might seem bulky and large to some of you, but it does fit in a fairly small case that I believe that you could actually carry on to most airplanes if you are traveling. Now, that said, the batteries are large. There's 2 6S batteries, and they do take a fairly long time to charge. Now, without the payload, this drone is actually gonna fly for about 37 minutes, but with the payload, we've been finding that you can get about 30 minutes with this drone, which is one of the longest flight times of any domestically approved drones if you actually think about it and you actually test it. Now, when we tested it, we're here at 5,000 feet in elevation, which fundamentally would give you less flight time. Now, we've had lots of time with the Skydio X10. We've had lots of time with other domestically approved drones. And this is my favorite drone. You know, Skydio wants to replace the pilot and offer truly remote, beyond visual line of sight operations. And Freefly is wise. They want to augment the pilot, which is a completely different ideology. And for you, as someone who likes to make money, support their family, and be able to live a life of success, you probably want a company that's gonna be supporting augmenting the pilot, not replacing them and getting rid of your job because of haphazard automation. This drone is large, but it's in charge. And when in your capable hands, it is gonna be a blast to fly. That being said, you might have a little bit of trouble insuring this thing because you'll probably have to insure it as the body and the camera separately if you're doing it with something like Skywatch. And I recommend looking at a different kind of insurance for this level of aircraft. Costello Aviation is a phenomenal example of aviation insurance that you can get. But with limited true insurance providers, as most of the brokers go through global aerospace, you're gonna have to really do some shopping. And no, I would not put this drone on my home insurance because there's no way that you're gonna be able to talk Farmers Insurance into saying this $32,000 drone wasn't used for commercial purposes. So that being said, don't put it on your home insurance. That really won't be beneficial to you. Now, I do love this drone for training new pilots. It's phenomenal that we can control the sensitivity and gains of each flight surface on this drone. So if you want a true tripod mode, but you want to be able to roll quickly, yaw slowly, well, all we have to do is simply slow down the yaw gain and you'll be able to do exactly what you want. To summarize, the Astro Prime is intended for the true American drone pilot, the Top Gun pilots who are able to offer services that others simply can't. If you're ready to get serious with your business and get serious with your offerings, this is going to be the drone for you. Whether it's advanced mapping and modeling for public works, government, or engineering, architecture firms, etc., this is going to be the drone for you. Believe it or not, it's actually quite quiet for how large it is. If you're looking to pick up an Astro Prime, Drone U has an entire training on the drone, and for the first time ever in drone history, Drone U history, we are selling these drones. So you can get the drone and you can get the training right from us. So whether you're a public utility, architect, engineer, construction manager, or whichever job title you prefer, we can definitely help you out with the purchase of this drone and getting your people in the air with the ability to use this drone to its full potential. As most of you drone program managers know, if they don't know how to get the most out of the drone, there's no point in them even flying. With that said, my name is Paul, this is Drone U HQ, and if you need the Astro Prime, you can reach out to me directly, paul@thedroneu.com. That's gonna do it for us today. Thanks for joining me, and if you have any questions, ask droneu.com.